Appreciate everyone for joining us right away.
Love to see that. So we'll talk a little bit about the Houston game, since I guess that's the Spurs' next opponent. That's how calendars work. That's how schedules work and whatnot. Um, the Rockets injury report reads as such: Josh Christopher questionable for tonight's game. Bruno Fernando is questionable. Kevin Porter is questionable. Jayshawn Tate is still out. Um, Not sure that makes a difference, but is this the game where the Spurs break the streak? Because I got to tell you, they got to be feeling and they are looking pretty desperate for a win today, Evan.
You would think that. But when you look at our injury report, we don't win many games without Yakpertl. uh, we don't win many games without Devin Vassell. Jeremy Sohan, is the glue piece, and the probable wings of our veteran leaders coming off the bench. Doug, J. Rich, they're not 100%. Not even Romeo Langford. They're all probable. But we're relying on Keldon Johnson and the dribble handoff galore tandem with Trey Jones. I'm not buying that. Houston is a running gun team. They can score a lot of points in the first quarter. Their starting lineup is their plus minus is like in the top half of the league. So whenever they get going, it's hard to stop them, and they're a really good team in transition. So yeah, it may be another L on our end, but that's good. That's great. You know why? Because we're going to talk about this draft. Not now, but later. We're going to talk about in depth and full. Huge amount of
We're
movement last few weeks, but Ben, go ahead.
we're gonna get into that draft for sure. These are exciting times. Like Evan said, the Spurs might see an L tonight, but that means the draft lottery sees a W, baby.
Yes, sir.
Getting to the bottom three at all costs.
Yes, sir.
Spurs currently last in the West. Um, Let me check. Yes, they are a full game up on Orlando. So Orlando actually has the worst record in the league, with San Antonio right behind them. Orlando at 6-20, San Antonio at 6-18, Detroit pretty close in there at 7-20. Houston just above San Antonio at 7-17. So what what are the expectations for tonight? You mentioned, Evan, quite a few guys are out. The injury report I am seeing, Bates Diop is out, Langford probable, McDermott probable, Pearl is out, Richardson is probable, Sohan is out, Vassell is doubtful, and Blake Wesley is still nursing his MCL sprain. So he is not going to be playing in this one. Although I think, if my math is correct, which it may not be because I am terrible at math, he should be nearing a return in, I would say, the next couple weeks, if that math is, if he's still on his timetable and if my math is not terrible. Um, so to get back to the question, Evan, expectations for tonight with all of those injuries to the Spurs.
I really want to see more out of Malachi Branham. I was not expecting him to be in any shape or way ready to have some backup point guard minutes in the pick and roll. It's minor. It's against the second and third units, but the flashiness of his game really that isn't that. He doesn't showcase a lot of that. Long story short, he's a really just structured, fundamental guy, and him not turning the ball over a lot, him making sure that he's ready, dribble handoffs to get to a spot. The Chris Middleton, Michael Redd comparisons are not only spot on, but this guy's 6'5", and he has to get to a spot against longer and probably even quicker wings, quicker guards, because he's not long enough, tall enough to be a small forward, but he's not quick enough and agile enough to be a shooting guard. So him being able to hold his own against second units, I'll be focusing on him, locking on him tonight. But there's a lot of other Spurs we can talk about. I would love to see Jeremy Sohan against another top quality power forward, another draft class um, rival, quote unquote, that they're gonna have for the next few years. Not just Torrey Eason, but Jabari Smith. So that's a bummer, but at the end of the day, it's the next man up. I really wish Don Barlow could have been available. He would have definitely got some minutes tonight. But it's we'll see. If you had anybody that you had any eyes on, Trey Jones, is it a Keldon must have great game? He showed a little bit of resurgence last game. What do you think?
Yeah, Keldon Johnson needs to shoot himself out of this slump. Just as they always say, shoot or shoot. That's just a guy he has to find some sort of groove. I think in a game where it could go up and down, there's probably going to be a lot of shots. I would say Keldon Johnson's got to take a good amount of those and just try and get something going. Don't take too much away from Devin Vassell. That's a guy who's consistently scoring right now. That's your most improved player of the year candidate right there. So don't but those two should be taking a vast majority of the shots tonight. If a guy like Doug McDermott gets hot, that's fine, feed him. But for the most part, I think this is going to be a game where you get an idea of what a lot of the subs are going to really look like. This could be an Isaiah Roby game. Talking potentially Charles Bassey. I don't know if he's down, if he's in Austin or not, or if they recalled him. I can't remember. Um, but I think you make a great point about Malachi Branham. I mean, Trey Jones can't be the only point guard on this roster, and Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell pretty much aren't playing point guard. So Malachi Branham probably going to get some minutes there. Would be very curious to see how he looks. Again, like you said, Evan, not terribly flashy, fundamentally sound, will get the job done. I kind of want him to come out of his box a little bit. I'm hoping he says, you know what, maybe I need to try and take over this game a little bit. Get creative, get my shots off. However, you got to do it. I kind of would like to see that from him. I mean, if you're the Spurs, what do you have to lose at this point? Give Malachi Branham an opportunity to get a little creative, or just try to do something different than what he has been doing.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh no, for sure. And we've seen flashes of it, but in him being consistent is something that I just want to see, especially that 6'5". I'm a bring up another comparison of somebody who you can even look out for, or maybe he can actually I want to say mimic his game, but a prime example. And that's Jalen Williams, J Dub, per se from OKC, 6'5". He can play the small forward, the shooting guard, and the one, and can control an offense, a good tempo. Realistically, just being like when I say the word agile, it's having a spark into your game, the jump, having been not being afraid to have a little hesitation, a little throw the ball over the body, hezzy, cross dribble between just to come up the court, just create separation. Like he's not that comfortable doing that, and at the end of the day, the Spurs system is dribble handoffs, pick and roll, and make sure you get 2 feet in the lane. And he's done that. He's done that really well. But using the old Kevin Durant arm bar to create separation, that's like his go-to. And then right before the free throw line, pick and pop, or not pick and pop, just pick up right then and there and just knock down that 12-footer. But yeah, we can move on from Malachi. You mentioned Isaiah Roby. I really thought that he was going to be the starting power forward to start this year. But that just goes to show that how big of a glue piece and how great a defender and switchable Jeremy Sohan is. But look for Isaiah Roby. He's not necessarily a safe bet to be a long-term Spur. This is his time to shine if he wants to move on to a competitive team, find a role in a rotation where he can be a switchable 3, 4, and even small ball 5, because he can stretch the floor a little bit and put the ball on the floor just not consistently. So if he has the time to do that, KBD's out. He's not playing. We need someone on the wing now. We can't just be the 6'2", 6'4", small ball lineup, small ball lineup. So we'll see. But do you have anybody you had to mention? Zach Collins, Charles Bassey. I believe he's playing. I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I believe he's playing. So
Plenty
yeah.
with Jakob Poeltl out. plenty of opportunities for these guys to get big man minutes. They got to prove they can be consistent, and they're going to make an impact on the floor. That's what it comes down to.
Let's
But
let, let's not forget about Gorgie Jang. Let's show him some love, man. Let
of
me tell
course,
you,
he is the veteran. He is the guy.
the veteran,
That that is a dude you can trust.
oh yeah, you can trust him with just about anything. And the veteran piece that could just be icing on the cake for a trade. Hey, we made words. We made Drew Eubanks turn into to the last piece for a first round pick. So we'll see. But Ben, I know I'm ready. I don't know if you're quite ready
We're
because
let's drop the pretense. Let's get to the draft talk.
if you got a hard cut, do you have a hard cut today at a time?
No, let's go.
Because let me tell you, man, there's been so much movement. Shout out to John Cho for holding it down on the timeline the past few weeks. Shout out to everyone and asking questions in the DM. Shout out to Ben and his consistent words with Project Spurs about about anything and everything about the draft. Because at the end of the day, we are holding it down in terms of who's going to be, I think a guaranteed stud for the Spurs. This draft class is so deep. There's a lot of this. There's so many 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" versatile players that we're guaranteed to at least get one, if not get a top, if not get a top 2 pick or a Scoot or Wemby. So yeah, it's really exciting. I don't know who you want to talk about first. There's a lot of movement with Gigi Jackson, Brandon Miller's now a
Yes.
top 5 lock, even on the all the draft websites. So
which
so,
is
yeah.
insane. I mean, if you're looking for good long wings, this is the draft for you. Just a crazy amount of guys. As we've already got questions. I love that. Let's get right into the questions. That might spur us into more conversation here. Yes, pun intended. Frag Gang, what is up, man?
Yo, this is a Houston Rockets space.
Not exactly, my guy. We are playing the Houston Rockets. There's 12 people in this room, and we are the San Antonio Spurs. Yes, sir.
Oh shit!
It's like that sometimes.
I seen Rockets. Oh, y'all do. Oh man, damn! I thought this was a
Oh,
Rockets
yeah.
space. What?
That's okay. Hey man, you're welcome to join us. If you got a draft question, well, I'll answer your draft question.
I was just more thinking about the game. What's up with the Spurs, man?
Hey, Alprin Şengün, that's all you got to worry about, man. That's your guy.
You guys,
And-
you guys into like? You think Sengun's gonna have a good game today?
That guy's been having good games, but I wouldn't be surprised if he manhandles some of the Spurs bigs tonight. To be honest with you.
So what do you think? Like, you think he could get 10 points and 10 rebounds?
Are you a betting man? I'm
I'm
pretty
just
sure
saying,
that's
I don't
what
place
you're trying to
bets, so
get
I
at.
can't help you there.
Yeah, I'm a betting man. You think he could get 10?
He's I think he's gonna get 10 and 10. Sengun, at the end of the day, with Bruno Fernando back in the lineup, you're looking at somebody that's not gonna get more than 24 minutes. So without Jakob Poeltl, there's no actual defensive threat in the paint to stop offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, transition. You should get 10 and 10 with these. So.
Well, and Fernando is questionable for tonight. I don't even know if he's playing.
Well, look at that. See, look at that.
Yeah,
But,
because I like Sengun a lot. I think he's a good player, but he's a part of the can't keep your hands to yourself club. So
That's a
always
fact.
on that goddamn bench with foul trouble. But the Spurs don't really have anybody that could put him in foul
That's
trouble.
crazy.
So.
That's not wrong.
This is insane. This is so funny.
Yeah, it's that. Well, hey man, it does say Rockets game day in there.
So what do you guys
It's-
you guys talk about draft picks for the Spurs?
Yes, sir. It's already that season.
Wait, so you think y'all tanking for what's his name? Unicorn Boy?
Wembanyama? Absolutely.
Unicorn boy. Yeah.
Spurs have six. Hey, Spurs have 6 wins. They're not tanking.
Spurs were playing good in the beginning of the season, man. I don't know what happened.
They fell off. Injuries.
Injuries, man.
The shooting streak. The hot streak lost its luster, I should say.
I'm high on what's his name though. I like Devin Vassell, man. He's made me some money this year. I'm high on him.
Oh, we are all high on Devin Vassell. You best believe that. Don't come at us with any trades for him. We will protect him like he is a San Antonio gem.
Yeah, I kind of wish he was playing today. I would have took his points over. I don't know. He's made me a lot of money this year. I
We
Right,
like
got
his
to
man.
game.
see. We found a secret Spurs fan, even if it's only for Devin Vassell.
I like some of the Spurs players are good. I like what's his name too. The little he got like pink hair. I forgot his name. Something like that.
Sohan, Jeremy
Yeah,
Sohan.
man. He
Yeah,
plays.
man.
I usually takes his. I take his blocks and steals. Man, he plays good defense. I don't know where they found him. He's actually
At,
like he's pretty
at
decent
Baylor, my
defender.
guy, right in the back.
I don't know where he came from. I just turned the game on. I just seen somebody with pink hair, and I was just watching. And ever since then, I just kind of followed him. And I noticed like when he doesn't play, the defense is really awful. Like so,
This
Spurs
guy
got a
gets it.
couple good. They got good young players. It's just, I mean, it's tough. Like when you don't have like a superstar, it's tough.
Not all of us can have James Harden at one point.
But I'm definitely rooting for you guys. I like the Spurs, man. Class,
Much
class,
appreciated, sir. Well,
class.
I'm glad you stumbled into our spaces today.
Yeah, I seen Rockets. I'm like, let me just see what's going on in here. But it was a Spurs. It was a Spurs space. I mean, I haven't seen one before. I was like, whoa. Shout out to
Well,
Spurs, though, guys. Shout out.
thank you. Hey, shout out to you. Appreciate you, man.
Yep. Thanks for the info, guys. I'll be seeing. See you.
Absolutely.
You have a good one, man.
Yep.
Appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks.
Yes, sir. Z-Man, thank you for joining us. You had some technical difficulties. What is going on with you?
Sorry about that. Hey, I was just want. I know you know, Evan. You were saying that it's a deep draft. Do you think basically those picks beyond like the top five are just going to be like running together in a sense that they're all going to be. There's not a really a bad pick beyond that. The top 3, 4, 5 pick. But do you feel like the Spurs are going to go with the typical like Spurs culture type of guy, and not really taking that risk?
You know, that's a great question. Um, at the end of the day, it's really early to try and determine like how someone can carry himself on the court. I usually let a lot of just like scouts that I've made connects with over the last few years just kind of tell me what they hear. But on the court, what I've seen, if you're looking at a point guard or like a versatile point forward, I can name five top of my head that fit right with the Spurs that aren't Scoot or Wemby. Anthony Black, maybe Pop doesn't like his bushy hair. Maybe I have to, tie it up or cut it off. But at the end of the day, like that kid is carrying himself and Arkansas as a whole, as the Lonzo Ball, the Josh Giddey, the 6'7" dual threat that not only is shooting what over 40% from three, and that was his only knock. He's basically just setting everyone up for success. He's basically another taller, bigger, stronger Trey Jones with an NBA body that won't turn the ball over. He did turn the ball over a lot in Maui. That was very rough. They're very rough. Without Nick Smith, without much fluidity in that lineup, very rough. They had a couple other injuries past few days. We'll see how he adjusts. But Anthony Black, absolute stud. In my opinion, he's a top 10 lock. And in my opinion, he may just be the first Razorback selected over Nick Smith, which sounds crazy, but stamp that. Stamp that for
I,
now.
I don't. I think he'll. I think right now Anthony Black is going to get. He's going to get a lot more hype than Nick Smith because Nick Smith is just kind of getting back into rhythm. Having said that, he just recently had a 22-point game this past week, so he's been playing pretty well in the few games he's played. But Evan, you're right. He's shooting 40.7%, but it's on 3 attempts a game, so not what I would describe as volume.
Mm-hmm.
But Anthony Black has looked really good. Totally agree with you. He's been phenomenal. The injury you're referring to, Trevon Brazil. Actually, there are a lot of people, and I would tend to agree with them, that they believe that kind of injury to that team might prevent them from getting to the Final Four because he was a very good glue guy. He was a really good rebounder. He was playing extremely well, extremely
Mm-hmm.
confidently.
Mm-hmm.
You lose a guy like that, it's hard to replace the production. But in this draft, to Z-Man, to answer your question, in this draft, after there's no bad pick necessarily, and I think if you're the Spurs, if you get the top 2 picks, it's best player available. You get Wembanyama or Scoot Henderson, and you say screw everything else.
Literally.
After that, there are so many good players, good to great players, that I think you can you can still draft for need, and it wouldn't be considered a reach with whoever you get as a forward. The Thompson twins might be a reach in the top five right now, just because the college season has started, and so everybody is super high on college guys right now. And the Thompson twins are playing in OTE, which is it is that league it's better than high school, but it's certainly not.
Uh-oh. Ben, you there? Come on. Hello? Hello? I can't hear.
There it is.
Now I can hear him. Oh, I had you for a second, Evan. I don't. All right, here we go. Let's try getting Evan back here, folks. He is desperately trying. All right, great. You got me, Evan? Hopefully. Oh my God, what is happening? Thank you, unsolicited ads. My goodness. So, like I said, Brandon Miller, top guy out of Alabama. Somebody super fun to watch near you guys. Houston, out of Houston, Jarris Walker, one of the best rebounders in this class. Um, Menace on the boards. He is 6'8" and 240 pounds. And he uses all 240 of those pounds. And he is almost pure muscle. It is absolutely insane how good he is. He collects blocks at a higher rate than he probably should at his height. It's unbelievable. Um, he's got to work on his shooting. So that's, if you're the Spurs, you love the rebounding. You hate that he can't shoot right now. A guy who actually reclassified for the 22 recruiting class, 6'9", 215 pounds, GG Jackson. He was actually committed to play at UNC in 2023, decommitted, reclassified, is now playing at South Carolina, of all places, right after they got rid of their coach, Frank Martin. That's a whole nother thing. And so now he's at, again, South Carolina, which, I'm sorry, I'm just so mind boggled because South Carolina is a terrible basketball school right now. But he probably figured he would be the dude. So he's more than good with playing on a bad team if he gets to put up stats, I imagine. And he has been. But for South Carolina, he does a little bit of everything. If I can get his stats pulled up in front of me, but he's scoring at 17 a game, 7.5 rebounds, a steal, a block, shooting 37% from three on about 4.5 attempts a game, shooting 43.1% from the floor on 15 attempts a game. He's playing 33 minutes. He's playing the majority of a game. More than 3/4 of a game because that's college, 40 minutes, all that good jazz. So his only issue is he's not a terribly consistent shooter right now. He kind of has to figure it out. He's a bit positionless. He can play out on the wing and drive guys, or he actually has been very good about posting guys up and he shoots a little fadeaway or he gets to the rim and he's kind of able to do whatever he wants on smaller defenders. So really good playing from GG Jackson so far. Evan, do I have you?
Oh my goodness.
We got it.
What is going on? That is so embarrassing. I'm so sorry.
I got Brandon Miller covered a little bit, some Jarris Walker and some GG Jackson. Briefly spoke about Grady Dick. Are there any forwards you're looking at? You wanna talk about?
You got to talk about Cam Whitmore, man.
Okay.
You have to. Man, sorry about that, yo. That is super embarrassing. I'm literally in a good service spot. Don't know what happened. It's good. The basketball guys don't mean to thrive today. I had to study too much for this. I don't know. Cam Whitmore, as the sole, like, powerful wing in this draft. When I say powerful wing, like, he's 6'7". Don't know how much he weighs top of my head. I think like 230. Not that burly, but he's agile. I want you to think of like a Paolo Banchero and a Carmelo Anthony body. Paolo's 6'10", Carmelo Anthony's 6'8". Cam Whitmore's 6'7", still growing. Okay, Cam Whitmore can separate. Cam Whitmore can put the ball on the floor and attack anyone. Keldon Johnson, Euro step, finish. Cam Whitmore can slam dunk his own putback with aggression. And Cam Whitmore is a top 3 lock, in my opinion. You don't pass on that type of person. Listen, like the ability to push the ball in transition, the ability to be the point forward and the dual forward at the same time for an offense that nobody wants to play in Villanova, and he's thriving in his first 2 games back. His first shot, pump fake, one dribble drive, cross dribble between, step back, swish. And his knock was that he couldn't shoot. He's showcasing everyone that is a blunder. So look for him to be like the solidified top 3 guy in his own tier, just below Scoot, just below Wemby, and that's Cam Whitmore, man. These forwards in this draft, you mentioned Jerace earlier. You mentioned Grady Dick, more of a shooter. Like, there's a lot of 3-and-D guys. At the end of the day, like Nikola Juric, I think he may be even a stash. A couple other guys, top of my head, man, can't think of the names right off rip. But there's bets that you can have, like a system guy, like let's say a Wesley Matthews, a Danny Green type of production level guy. But this star level competition, this star level quality of guys in this top half of this draft, Cam Whitmore is definitely at the lead of that. You can throw in Keontae George, you can throw in Nick Smith if you want to, but in terms of being proven already, like, yeah, that is Cam Whitmore. And it's only 2 games in. 2 games in, but I knew it from his high school tape. This guy's a stud. NBA body, NBA frame, the combo forward. You do not pass up on this guy if you foster your team. I know the Thompson twins are glorious. We'll talk about them now, Ben. Listen, Amen Thompson is shooting 15%, right? And his brother is shooting over just above 40% from 3. You don't know what you're going to get from either one of them. You don't know how they're going to develop into and adjust to the NBA speed. But if you're a team like the Rockets, shout out Will, shout out Jada for joining. If you're a team like Detroit, they play this running gun style basketball. It's not. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but the Spurs are very patient in their offense. You know who's not patient? A man in Asar Thompson. They'll push that ball in transition. They'll find the open man, and at the end of the day, those are the type of players that I feel like fit that type of system. But the Spurs, not so much. Amen Thompson's going to try and do a Jason Williams elbow bump pass, and that's going to piss Coach Pop off in practice and any type of training camp. I don't see that happening. Asar Thompson is the agile wing that honestly is showcasing that he's probably going to be maybe the best all-ball defender in the top half of this class. Now, there's better defenders overall, probably, but at the end of the day, I know, Ben, you played high school basketball. A lot of people in this room played high school basketball. You remember the slap the floor top as hard as you can and shuffle your feet all the way to the side of the court, go back and forth. Asar Thompson would smoke everyone in that. His foot speed, his agility, his overall basketball IQ to switch on the guys, close out, and not foul. That is honestly like top of the notch in terms of this draft class. I got a little carried away. I appreciate everyone for joining, and we did have a little bit of technical difficulties when we first started this. That's my mistake. But is there anyone else you want to talk about in the top 10 that are certified locks? You mentioned GG. I can't really give a comparison besides like a bigger Lamar Odom with a better shot. And you mentioned Brandon Miller. He's not Jabari Smith. He's not him. He's not him. And that's what everyone was saying the first couple games, just because like the player how do you say it, the shot chart and their player analytics of how they would get to the spots, it pretty much matched, but they're not the same for sure.
Yeah, Brandon Miller probably has to. Well, they both need to put on weight, but Brandon Miller, not really a great finisher around the rim yet. I mean, he's shooting really well from 3, but he's shooting actually pretty poorly inside the arc. I think he's shooting like 37.5% on 2
It's
points.
blue. That shot chart is blue in the paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
not ideal.
Not ideal at all. But when it comes down to it, man, there's that's really it, because everyone else is a guard. There's Casey Wallace, Anthony Black, Keontae George is the only 6'4" shooting guard that can play a little bit of small ball wing. Dariq Whitehead hasn't proven that he's yet isn't proven yet.
Yeah, he's still coming. Yeah, he's still coming back from injury.
And
that whole team has to get its chemistry together.
And then, and even if you look at Derek Lively's not even Derek Lively's not even playing at any type of level where he's a top 15 lock at this point in time.
Yeah, he's He's been struggling as well. We got a great question actually in the comments. Um, the question was, is GG Bamish, like Bam Adebayo?
No, no, not at all. No, so GG is basically the only actual threat on that South Carolina team. He's somebody that can push the ball in transition. He's somebody that can be the point forward. I can't give another comparison besides Lamar Odom, and I said that against with Leonard Miller last year. I said that against a lot of people, but you being that tall, that big, that NBA frame, and you have your mid range face up game. You have your open threes you can knock down without any type of hesitation. But at the end of the day, like he's so young. He's 17 years old. He reclassified. If he even reclassified to be in next year's class, people are even saying he would be the number one pick. No, no, like for real. Like he just needed to actually get some seasoning into his game. He was obviously the guy his whole life. Imagine this guy running at you and 16, 17 years old. He would dunk on you from the third hash. But in South Carolina, like you go to these schools like Khalil Ware at Oregon, or Scotty Barnes at Florida State a couple of years ago. You go to be the guy. You go to be the stud. You go to be the center of the offense, and his usage is through the roof right now. So at the end of the day, can't really solidify him as a top. I can't put him over Cam Whitmore just quite yet. Cam Whitmore is a class of his own, but I can guarantee you those comparisons of who's going to be who's a better fit for putting the ball on the floor, who's a better fit for a mid-range game, who's a better fit for Spurs system, all that would be in question. But then you'll see a lot of players like last year. I'm not just going to compare like the top part of the class that wanted to pick and who selected them. Chet obviously was best friends with Giddey right off rip. Paolo wanted to be a Rocket. Everybody knew that. You'll see a lot of guys like GG and even Brandon Miller and Leonard Miller. They'll probably have a lot of talk of, okay, who's going to be the jumbo forward for the Spurs? Who wants to even fit in that system? Who's going to be the Spursy type of guy? And that may turn into some trade talk. That might turn into a lot of people maybe trying to reclassify or not reclassify, even being next year's class. We saw that last year with Leonard Miller. So, Ben, I'm going off a tangent here. Do you have a favorite if the Spurs were to say, okay, we got Jamie Sohan, we have Jakob Poeltl, we have Devin Vassell. We need that one stud, the prime Julius Randle. I hate even to make that comparison, but Bobo Julius Randle, that's exactly who the Spurs could go after. Keegan Murray, someone that can be the not exactly the number one option is quite yet, but if we fall outside the top 5, top 6, do you have like a point forward that you just have to grab?
I don't know if there's a point forward that I would grab, but I think depending on what you want as the Spurs, there's a ton of options. I think Dariq Whitehead is eventually going to prove that he belongs. I mean, he's been looking better and better each game back from his injury, so I think that he has a lot going for him there. Um, a surprise guy I mentioned briefly for Duke, like Mark Mitchell, has actually played really well. I don't know if he's played himself into the lottery, but he's definitely played himself. He's played himself up further into the draft. Um, but I mean, I do like Brandon Miller. Um, there's some power forwards I like, but they're not really point forwards. I mean, you sound incredibly convinced about Cam Whitmore, and I am not as convinced as you. I mean, he's only played the 2 games back, although Villanova is going to look like a much different team with him playing. So I think if Villanova starts winning more games and he's playing more minutes, there's an obvious correlation there, and that will bode well for his draft status. So I'm not saying I'm ruling him out of being a top 3 pick. I just don't see him there yet. Um, but having said that, I really do like Cam Whitmore, and he if you're looking for a point forward, someone who is big and can still handle the ball, Cam Whitmore might be your option then.
I really would love to see that stamp, but I want you to imagine, Cam Whitmore. I hate the how I always have to rely on the Scotty Barnes comparison. That's really how he thinks who he thinks he is. He thinks he's he has to prove that he can put the ball on the floor. He has to prove he can get to his spot. And in terms of the competition level he's played thus far, that kind of was a gimme to get to that and to be proven. But I really don't think that he's going to be a point forward. He's really that combo forward the power, just the power, the power presence that you need. Every team needs just to be able to get a bucket in the clutch. So whether if it's a putback, whether if it's trying to an isolation game, whether if it's trying to get to the rim, his playmaking needs some work. Not the best vision, not the best confidence trying to get to his guys. But there's one player, one guy we haven't mentioned, and I know this may sound like a shock to a lot of people, but this is the best player on one of the best teams in the nation right now, and that's Kyle Filipowski. I struggle to say his name sometimes. Ben, I know you do too. Kyle Filipowski is the best player on the Duke team right now. He's one of the best shooters in the country. He's the most versatile. I know he's really stiff as a center, being that kind of more line of a cone on defense on the perimeter. The interior, let me tell you, the interior in the Spurs system, Ben.
He would be good in the Spurs system on the interior. So Filipowski, 7-footer, shooting the ball well, has scored double figures in every game he's played so far. This was the guy. I mean, he was a top recruit. Don't get me wrong; he was a 5-star guy. But this is the guy that everybody thought would be backing up Derek Lively, and he's kind of turned that on its head, and he's been the starter.
Yeah.
He's got great post game. He can step out and shoot it, like you said. He plays with good intensity too. I really like his effort level.
Oh yeah, he's the perfect system player for a team like us. But here's the thing, you can stamp him as being like a certified stud, a top. I don't want to say like a top half of the lottery lock, in terms of his production and in terms of his consistency. That's what you would think he would be, but he's really just a top 20 guy that can fall into any team. There's a lot of other versatile, like City Sudoku, Leonard Miller. They're pretty much positionless. But Kyle Filipowski, you throw him in as a four. He struggles so much on the perimeter. So his own defense, the box 1-3-1, that wouldn't work with him. But you have to have a system matched up for him, because here's a thing. We've seen teams like the Rockets, team like even like the Kings. They have a lot of players that can get 2 feet in the paint, but they can't knock down that open three. They can't knock down that corner three. Now that they have these guys, the Jabari Smiths, the Keegan Murrays, and the more wings galore that can at times, that's somebody that you can just plug into the Spurs, be our 10th man, replace KBD, replace Isaiah Roby. Sorry, you can't give us 3-4 threes in a game, and that's what pushes the needle. So if he can just keep this up at a good pace, the combination with the front court with him and Derek Lively isn't the prettiest, but they staggered very well. You can't really close the game with them both on the team on the floor on defense, but on offense, if you need a putback, the Spurs circle motion alley-oop play where you fake you fake where you come around the baseline, try and have a screen, and we're doing it again on the other side, and you actually do a screen and it's alley-oop. That type of play, those type of motion offenses, money. Give me that. We brought in Red Nation. Definitely have seen you in a couple spaces. Appreciate you joining. This does kind of look like a Rocket space with all the Rocket space joining, but this is a game day space. We appreciate you all for joining, tapping in with us. If you have any questions about this game tonight, about the draft, hit us with them, man. Appreciate you joining us. If he's there. If he's there, Red Nation Z. Zeb, my boy, if he's there. If he's not, Ben, you can hear me right?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Oh, we will. Wait, hold up.
All good. We'll keep rolling. So,
Hey, my bad, guys. I pulled up by accident.
There he goes. How's it going, man?
Everything's good, man. Nothing really comment about. I just actually stepped into the speakers by accident, but I'm looking forward to tonight's game. Curious to see, how we measure up. I've been kind of comparing the Rockets against their peers lately. So far, I think we're the best of the quote unquote tanking teams. So I'm excited to see what we put out tonight. I think that one of the things I've noticed is that we struggle to cover teams who move the ball and play that motion type offense. So even though San Antonio right now doesn't really have elite talent, I'm curious to see how we defend their play style. So it'll be a fun game.
Most definitely. And man, appreciate you joining us, even if it was on accident. We've had people think this was a Rocket space join us. trying to ask us questions earlier. You're more than welcome to join us at any point in time. And at the end of the day, man, the teams that are tanking, the teams that are actually trying to lose, but actually are trying to like showcase, okay, what type of role can Jay Sean Tate and Jabari Smith fill? What type of role can Isaiah Roby and Jamie Sohan fill? These are the type of games that prove that. Obviously, we're both kind of blundered with injuries, more us than you guys. Eric Gordon's probably definitely going to be traded, just like how Yonko Pertl is probably going to be traded. But at the end of the day, this is a grown man's league. Everyone's here to try and showcase, hey, I'm here to play. I'm here to represent my team and represent where I'm taking too deep here, but at the end of the day, everyone's trying to showcase their talents and trying to play respectful. At the end of the day, so we're gonna move on to J Dub. Appreciate you joining us. We're trying to connect, give you some time to connect. So
I'm on. Can you hear me?
yes, sir.
All right,
How's it
yes.
going?
Sorry if this is like a rocket space. I shared the space.
Oh no, you're good.
uh,
Appreciate you.
so, two quick questions. One, I'm assuming the answer is injuries, but the first question is, what do you attribute the Spurs getting off to a pretty hot start and completely cooling off to? And then two, I just actually started getting in depth on the research of this draft. I'm probably about 14 prospects in. This looks like a really good draft, although I do not know how many quote unquote stars I see. Do you agree with that assessment? Because I see a bunch of like probably elite role players or maybe a low level stars, but like is really deep. Do you agree with that assessment? And yeah, the question on the first one is, what's happening with the Spurs?
Ben, you want to go ahead and get the first one? I can get the second.
Sure thing. Um, as for the Spurs being horrifically cold and not winning games, yes, a lot of it is definitely injuries. I think a lot of it is Keldon Johnson's shooting slump. I think he's losing some confidence. And then because of those injuries, guys are not playing with the chemistry they normally would, in and out of practices, in and out of games. Um, and I think the point guard depth is actually killing them right now. I mean, they entered this season, the Spurs didn't think Trey Jones was going to be their lone point guard playing, 35 minutes a game. They thought, okay, we're going to, Trey Jones will start and he'll be fine. We'll be able to spell him at times, but now they've got to play him a ton of minutes or the offense completely falls apart. So I think a lot of it is injuries, and then what comes with those injuries in regards to playing time for other guys, not having depth. You had the Josh Primo situation. I think that took a toll both on people's emotions, the team's emotions, as well as that is one less guy who can handle the ball for you. So Trey Jones, you're the guy. Congrats, you are our only guy. Have fun. So I think as for the first question, I think that's how that goes.
Yeah, no, it was just the games that I went to. The vibe in the AT&T and the AT&T Center just wasn't it. The chemistry and the competitiveness on that road trip. Jamie Sohan even called out the team. He even said like, "Hey, like we're playing soft. We're not showing any aggression." Injuries plagued us. I think Matthew Timon tweeted the Spurs have had a average of one one ankle sprain, literally an ankle sprain, reported since the Primo situation, and obviously one guard down, next man up isn't necessarily an NBA guard as in Malachi Branham. He's not quite ready yet, so. We've had a shortened rotation, a shortened bench. A lot of guys have showcased, hey, I can be an NBA player, Charles Bassey, but at the end of the day, it's been rough. One win last month, tough. Ben, I think you can actually help me with this question. Let's just name the star actual players in this draft, in our opinion. Wemby's a star.
Top two guys, obvious stars.
Superstars. Superstars.
I think J-Dub made a great point. There's a lot of guys who could be elite role players or low-level stars, but I think that could be their floor. Like, there's a lot of guys who could get up and become like perennial all-star kind of guys. And of course, you can't say that about too many guys because obviously there's only so many all-star slots that get handed out every year, and for each conference, and you're competing with dudes who are obviously already very good. So, by pure numbers, you can only have a finite amount of potential stars, superstars, right? So,
Let's
like
list them.
the Thompson twins to me are a total enigma. They could just as easily be like these superstars as they could just incredibly good role players. Like I could see them going either way on that spectrum. I think a Cam Whitmore is kind of a guaranteed thing. I would say he's a guaranteed player who will be a very good player. He should be a mid to high level starter for you. Well, especially for the Spurs because that's exactly the kind of guy they need. So I think in that regard, high level starter. Um, I mean, Brandon Miller. I know you have feelings about Brandon Miller, Evan. Um, is that an elite role player to you? Do you think he could be more? What do you think about him?
To have that star and especially superstar stamp, you have to be able to be a 20-point per game threat every single night, or be able to have the control of the offense to push towards a win. And I'm not saying Lonzo Ball is a star player in this league, right? But Lonzo Ball is like the line. It's the Lonzo line. Remember, he was the second overall pick, right? He's a top 4, top 5 guy. But you think of the Anthony Blacks, the Brandon Millers, they're floating just above him, but you cannot win a championship. You cannot win 50, 60 games on pace like how the Bulls were the first seed this time last year. They're trading the whole farm because Lonzo Ball has bum knees. So, at the end of the day, the Brandon Millers, I can't really give him the stamp of a star, but he's that Lonzo line right in between. Like he's that third option, the Drew Holiday on the championship team one day, and you can even say like the Devin Vassell of the current Spurs. Like Devin Vassell, obviously, in my opinion, is clear as day. Probably won't be a number one guy, right? Day in and day out, he has to get set up. No real self creation moves. He's the volume shooter. He's our Rip Hamilton, right? When you can only do when you're not a 3-level scorer, when you're not consistent, when you're not a 2-way player, you're not a star. So Brandon Miller, close, tough. Anthony Black, tough. I really wish I could say that. Now let's get interesting. I really do think that Dariq Whitehead has star potential. I really do think that Nick Smith has star potential. I also think that Kevontae George has star potential. But here's the thing, Ben, and how J-Dub just mentioned, only maybe one of those guys, depending on, I'm not saying the team or the role or how they're even, yeah, definitely the role. One of them can end up in Charlotte and end up playing for the Swarm if they're the 14th pick or they fall, and one of them could play in Detroit and be a starter next to Kay and next to Jaden Ivey. So at the end of the day, it depends. I can say, J-Dub, to answer your question in elevator pitch, the answer is 5 to 6. Answer is 5 to 6. Okay. I really wish I can stamp every single person in the top 10, but I think that's a good comparison. That Lonzo line, you really just need to have one more archetype to your game that can really just push that needle to make you clutch. And I'll say this: there's a lot of Brandon Boston's, there's a lot of Caleb Houston's in this draft. Now you can view that two ways. Brandon Boston 2 years ago, where was he at the top of the draft preseason? Number 2. Where was Caleb Houston? Top 5. Where'd they fall? Down. Not only did they fall down, they tanked down. They plummeted down. But where are they right now? Solid, fringe level rotation players, maybe one day, right? There's so many of those guys in the top 15 to even like 45. Literally, it's insane. Like I don't know where to put City Sudoku. I don't know where to put Leonard Miller. I don't know where to place a lot of these guys. But yeah, we can wrap this up here in a second. J-Dub, that was not only a fantastic question, but that's a tough question to evaluate right now. We're probably going to have to go super in depth about this draft again sometime soon, Ben. I don't know how much time you have, Ben. We've had some technical difficulties. We've been on here for about close to an hour.
I've got all the time tonight. I mean, I was actually going to ask you what your thoughts are on Chris Murray, brother of Keegan Murray.
Man, he's actually showcasing that, at the end of the day, he's a first-round lock. But the thing is, just like how his brother, you have to be able to set him up to score. He's not somebody that's going to put the ball on the floor Keldon Johnson elbow his way to the rim. He's not going to be somebody that has a reliable float game. He's not going to be somebody that can only push the ball in transition and stand in the corner and come off screens. That's Chris Murray. Now, is he a better option than Doug McDermott if you're thinking about the Spurs? If you have a second first round pick, if we can finesse that in a trade, sure. Steal him from the Kings, steal him from Indiana, make him leverage us more picks, more money. I had people ask us the other day, like, why do you think the Spurs traded Kennedy Chandler for cash? We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know how much money under the table incentives, promises later on in trades that have to do with that. You want to be on the good side of teams. You want to be on the good side of projecting who's going to fall to who, and in terms of the Spurs, in terms of other teams having good solid relationships for possible trades. So if you grab Chris Murray, and if you are the Spurs, I don't think they're going to fall in the lottery. I don't think they're too bad to be in the lottery, and they're too. I don't think they're going to make trades like last year to get more first round picks. They're going to focus on making sure we get that number one or number two. But if you're any other team like Indiana, the Kings, Chris Murray, somebody you want to stand. Solid. I don't want to say like a 10-year vet, but somebody that can be in the league that can produce on the level of at best like a Doug McDermott, somebody that can maybe steal a good contract a couple of years from now, but somebody that isn't going to be a certified stud. And here's the thing: any team, like you've seen the Chris Duarte's, the what's his name? He hit a game winner the other day. Andrew Nembhard.
Andrew Nembhard, my
Listen,
guy.
These type of prospects can have some crazy moments in teams like those. So when I say that, that's literally saving him from being in Europe. So that's the type of prospect that is very, very tough to evaluate. I can't give him the second round lock or second round push. He has first round talent, but yeah, that's somebody that a lot of people are even saying he's a lotto guy. No, the hell he's not. Just look, he just has a popular brother right now who's doing really well. So shout out to him and his age. Don't forget about his age. Hey, he's up there. He's been there for a while. So yeah, that's definitely gonna hurt him in the long run.
He and Keegan are twin brothers at the same
Yep.
age. So, if you had concerns about Keegan being old last year, Chris is now a year older than that entering the draft.
Exactly.
A guy I'd like to shout out just because I can, Baylor Shireman from Creighton. 6'6" lefty who has zero conscience when it comes to shooting, and I love him. He is irrationally confident and is glorious. This man attempts over 7 threes a game, and he's shooting 37%. And this dude shoots it deep. Okay, Creighton barely lost to Texas. They should have killed Texas.
Whoa,
Okay,
whoa,
Baylor
whoa.
Shireman. He started the game. Listen, Baylor Shireman started the game 0 for 8 from 3. That never happens to him. And then he hits the next 4 threes to bring Creighton within, I think, 2 points. They give up a bad long court pass, a baseball pass, 2-possession game. Game was over. That was the worst shooting game that Creighton has ever had and that Baylor Shireman will ever have. He will never shoot that poorly again. I don't know if he's a first-round lock, but if you need a dude who is not afraid to shoot the ball and will shoot it from anywhere, that's your guy. I just love him. I just like watching him play. So he gets a shout out from me.
For sure. No, he definitely deserves that. I think that he's going to be a first round guy. It really depends on who falls in the second half, because right now you look at the lottery and even like the draft simulations, the Clippers are right in the mix of that. You don't or in the top half of the lottery. You don't want to at least like stamp somebody who's not going to be a good fit on the team with someone like that. So, man, and they do say in the Moody Center, it's kind of like how it's kind of like the Pro-Am and Crawford that Jamal Crawford had where Chet Holmgren got hurt. Is that condensation in that packed facility, man. Those slippery rims, everyone be slipping and sliding around there. So yeah, they definitely had some. They definitely greased those rims in the first half. I don't know about.
I blame it on Matthew McConaughey.
You got to set the mood. That's what they say in the Moody Center. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of other prospects we can talk about. If anybody has any questions, you want to join us on stage. I have about maybe 15 minutes. Then you can definitely, throw some names out there, because this is the first time we've had a good discussion with a good amount of play to base it off of, basically besides just preseason analysis and what we can justify from high school tape. But I think we covered a lot of the popular names. I'm really mad I missed the Gigi discourse. I'm really mad I missed the Brandon Miller discourse. But it's okay. We'll move on. Was there anybody else?
Actually, you know who we didn't get to? We didn't get to Khalil Ware.
Now we're talking. Now here's the
Yeah.
thing. I was super low on him because when you look at you can count Dior Johnson. Dior Johnson did commit to Oregon. You look at Bobo. You look at a lot of these guys that go to Oregon, the top recruits. They go there for a reason. They go there to be lazy, to do what they want, and to not be told what to do. Now, Khalil Ware is doing that, but he's actually thriving. He's actually doing very well. I thought that Derek Lively had a whole tier above Khalil Ware. I thought Khalil Ware was possibly going to fall himself outside the lottery, not into the second round, but to be that unwanted Walker Kessler, kind of had to prove himself as the unpopular guy in terms of draft talk. But in terms of right now, Khalil Ware is the best center that's not Wemby by a mile. Khalil Ware can knock down the three. Khalil Ware is a great rim protector. Khalil Ware is good in transition and can push the ball. And his little skinny frame, I think he's 7? Is he 7 feet or 7'1"?
I think 7 feet.
So right now, how many players can play exactly like Khalil Ware in the NBA? Bol, and who else?
I mean, assuming Chet Holmgren when he comes back.
Just 2, and who else?
I think in the NBA right now, it's how tall is Poku?
Poku's a 7 foot. He's
Okay.
7 feet.
Maybe
So
him.
that's 3, and you can technically say John Butler, but John Butler is not an NBA player. He's thriving in whatever the G League affiliate for New Orleans Pelicans is. Yeah, solid kid. Needs to add on some weight. If you're skinnier than me, you need to add on some weight, big fella. Anyways,
Or
right
if
now,
you go to Florida State, you generally need to add weight.
no, literally, we'll get to you in 1 second. But Khalil Ware is definitely somebody that needs to add on some weight. Definitely somebody that can play a little bit of power forward now. And in today's NBA, you can be a Maxi Kleber, you can be a Dwight Powell, you can even be a Precious Achua and play a little bit of 4. You can be an Aaron Gordon and play a little bit of 4. Aaron Gordon's a bad example, but right now, Khalil Ware is in that. I can't say he's nowhere near the same level as defenders as Evan Mobley. Absolutely not. But on the perimeter, he's not cooked food on the box and one on a 1-3-1 set. You can toss him out on the perimeter. He has a long wingspan. He can hold on his own. He can get a steal. He has a little bit of foul proneness. Right now, there's no one, like I said, no one to tell him what to do in Oregon. He's doing his own thing. He's playing 30 plus minutes. He's having fun. He's smiling. Great kid at heart. But right now, is he a Spursy type of player? This is a Spurs space. Remember, attitude issues I've heard. James Wiseman mentality. James Wiseman got put in timeout recently. James Wiseman's getting 0 minutes and DNPs and back-to-back games, okay? We don't want that with Khalil Ware, but hopefully he can humble himself and get it. This is what I'm hearing from scouts. So I'm just relaying that. But if he can get his attitude up and going, just play basketball, man. Just play some basketball. I would love to see him thrive in any team, not just the Spurs. Will, appreciate your patience. How are you doing? You got any questions about this game tonight, the draft? What's going on, man?
I appreciate you guys letting me come up. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's going on?
Nothing. So I had a couple questions. So a guy that I saw a lot about last year that I kind of fell off the radar, and I just looked up his stats, and I kind of see why. But it was Caleb Love from UNC. He had a lot more hype last year than this year, obviously. And I heard you guys mention before the age thing. And I was just wondering what you guys think about that, seeing as guys like obviously Halliburton is probably the most prominent guy who fell because of age and is doing really well. And then this year you see guys like Andrew Nemhard who are playing really well despite them being older than the other guys in the draft. Obviously, you can say that they still need time to develop for those young guys. But do you think guys like Caleb Love and Drew Timme, even with their age, do you think that they still have a chance to get drafted at this point?
So I have a really, really funny story to say. This is so funny. So last summer when I was really trying to get into like the just make all my connects with scouts and the prime time, like May, June draft time. I went to Dallas and there was a private workout with Iverson Molinar, Drew Timmy, RJ Hampton was there, a couple NBA guys, but a lot of just who else was there, man? Somebody, Hugo Basson, a couple guys even living around the TCU, UNT area, living in dorms, just trying to get workouts that were in Dallas for the last few weeks, trying to get evaluations of themselves, right? The best player in those runs by far, guess who? Was Drew Timmy. Was Drew Timmy. Quote unquote from Rafael Barlow. As first round talent, doesn't play defense, but can definitely be a Kelly Olynyk, definitely can be somebody that has the ability to put the ball on the floor, has the ability to be a fringe NBA talent. But I don't know if it's the UIL money. I don't know what it is, but I'll talk about Caleb Love in a second. He's somebody completely different. But Drew Timmy was never a first round lock, right, Ben? Never a first round lock. Projectedly, probably the second half of the second round to undrafted. And here's the thing: if no team sets a meeting with you, if no team wants to bring you in for private workouts, under the table workouts where they don't report it, they say, hey, you can't tweet that you're here. We're bringing you here for the third time this week. Don't tweet that you're here. No flashy Instagram moments. You're not going to get drafted. You're going to be in Europe. And Drew Timmy, Gonzaga, these type of Gonzaga players, that reminds me of the Kansas. What was that Kansas guy that had the weird haircut that was there for like 6 years? These type of guys.
Harry Ellis, are you?
Yes, that are just college studs, college just magnifying pieces that are probably making more money there in the league that don't probably have to go to class, that probably already have all their life handed to them. Caleb Love and Armando Bacot, they're completely different. But Drew Timmy is never going to be somebody that has like he's never going to be in the league for more than 5 years for sure. Like he may have a couple stretches. He may have, I guess, like what's his name from Iowa with the big nose.
Garza.
Luke Garza, yes. He may have a Luke Garza type of opportunity where he can prove, yes, I can play in the G League. Yes, I deserve to be in the league, but he's not going to stay there. Okay, he's not going to stay. So right now, Caleb Love is a combo guard. Caleb Love should have got a first round promise last year, didn't. He and Travion Smith, they went back to school, trying to showcase, hey, I'm a lottery guy. I'm trying to get a bag. The bag from the lottery to the second half of the lottery is completely different. And when you're in the second round, it's not guaranteed. Caleb Love would have been in the second round. Caleb Love would have been probably drafted after Kennedy Chandler. And that's probably really embarrassing for him. He's somebody who should have been a lottery lock in his own eyes, but that's not the case. He was very tough to evaluate, super inconsistent last year. Now he could probably win a title for sure. Hopefully they don't have any type of what are those logos that they have slipping on the floor that cost them the title last year. Hopefully they can get those off the map this year in terms of NCAA tournament. But Caleb Love is somebody that should be a first round lock. Probably won't be. It's just the next man up in this tough class.
Well,
I don't know.
the other issue with Caleb Love is his 3-point shooting.
I was just going to mention that he's shooting 26% this year.
Yeah.
Like on brutal shooting, like it's not good at all.
So he's been very odd in that regard. Some of it is, and the crazy part is, he's shooting 41% from the field, and that's a career high for him. I think for Caleb Love, it's a matter of that UNC offense is so bad right now. He ends up taking a lot of bad shots out of necessity, not because he wants to, but you're talking, late shot clock shots. There's a lot of bad ones there. For a team that's bringing a lot of guys back and adding Pete Nance to the fold, they're not playing very well. They've lost a ton of games. They were one of the quickest teams to drop from being the preseason number one to being out of the AP poll in the AP poll's history. So that whole team right now is just not playing well. I don't know what it is, but that's the kind of stuff that costs Caleb Love, your draft status or your likelihood of getting drafted in the first round. It's just you can't have that stuff. You have, although I will say he is at a career low for turnovers, which is great. about 3 assists a game, 1.4 steals a game. Great stuff. Still scoring 19 points a game, but the 3-point shooting has to get better. You can't be a combo guard in the NBA and not shoot threes well. You just can't. There are very few guys who get away with that. So I think that's been one of his biggest issues as well. And you want to talk about a guy like Drew Timmy, exactly what Evan said. He will not be able to play defense at the next level. He has moves, he has counter moves, he has counter moves for his counter moves in the post, but he's a little undersized. He's not quite athletic enough, but he's incredibly talented and he's an incredibly smart player. I still would like to see him shoot more consistently from beyond the arc, or at least with some consistency from the mid range. He's got a little pop a shot like Jakob does, but for him to be effective at 6'10", he has to have more than that. So I think that's his biggest issue.
Yeah, I agree on both those points. Thanks, guys, for that insight. And the only other thing I wanted to add is about that Creighton player. I don't follow Creighton all that much, but I did watch them lose to the very unimpressive Nebraska team the other day.
Yeah,
and they shot awful from the field. It was an embarrassing showing from Creighton. So
it doesn't. Yeah, they're a much better shooting team than that. I mean, with Texas, it was a bit more understandable because Texas is a legitimately very good defensive team. Nebraska is a dumpster fire of an athletic department in university
every single year, for sure. Trust me, I'm a Nebraska fan, so
I am so sorry.
Yeah, it's a rough stretch for sure. But I appreciate you guys' insight on that. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Thanks for asking the question. And I know we got a question from J-Dub. Oh, J-Dub's hitting us with the good stuff today, man. So Evan, he asks, who rises the most with an improvement in one area? He's talking about an example. Amon shoots poorly from outside. So does Cam Whitmore. Like if those guys, if they shore up their outside shooting, obviously they become much more solidified prospects. Is there a prospect that can rise a ton with just one area of good improvement?
I really want to talk about Amen, but there's somebody we haven't mentioned that kind of is like the lost. I don't want to say forgotten about. Why is he there? Prospect in the lottery, and that's Dylan Mitchell. Now I've seen a lot of Dylan Mitchell lately. He's kind of, I don't want to say like he's nowhere near as the self-creative type of potential as like a Ousmane Dieng, but the length 6'10", 6'11", small forward, long wingspan, a play finisher, more lines up nonsense, a play creator. If he can showcase how he was in high school, I can put the ball on the floor. I can show a little bit of the mid-range game. When I say mid-range, it can be a little push shot floater. I just have to see you actually finish at the rim. That's not just trying to slam on somebody. I need you to finish some finesse, some up and unders, some wraparound passes, some pick and roll, pick and pop action, because you're going to be a small ball 5 in some lineups. The small forward, power forward. I'm 6'11" in my center, but I'm too skinny type of player. If you can put the ball on the floor and be an offensive threat, that's Dylan Mitchell. That's somebody who Yahoo Sports said he's a top 10 guy, and everyone's like, "Who the hell is that? Who is that?" Look at the boards now. He's the reason why Texas is. He's the glue piece for Texas. He's exactly what the KBD role is for the Spurs, but better. He basically can. Go ahead.
He's not putting up huge numbers right now, but he's doing a little bit of everything else. He has to, if he can show that he can shoot a bit more, I think that'll go a long way because his free throw percentage is really bad right now too. By the way, he's closer to 6'8" or 6'9".
Gotcha, my bad.
As a power forward, yeah. At least that on Texas's website, he's listed, I think, at 6'8". So for what that's worth, what's his height and shoes? What's it without shoes? I don't know.
No, you're good. You're good.
And for a guy who's that bouncy, I kind of would have expected him to average more than a tenth of a block a game, I guess. Maybe that's me being selfish, but if you're that athletic and you're playing some help side defense, you would have collected a few more blocks just by accident,
he does a good job not fouling and not being too jump happy. That's a tough word to say. In terms of there, because Texas has a weird defense. They have Tyrese Hunter, Ontario Morris. I can't even say his name sometimes. Ontario Morris, and then like Dylan Dessou comes out. His big burly, Larry Nance type of behind. Can't defend. Can't switch on anybody. But he's our small ball five because our center sucks. And I'm a huge UT fan. I've been to a lot of games. I live in the Austin area. You know, I've been watching him. I'm just like, okay, is it what makes him a better prospect than Tyrese Hunter? It's the size, it's his fluidity, it's his mindset and his IQ, his ability to switch on the guy. He's a great defender, but his offensive game, man. When you have holes and we have so many holes in your game in your ability on offense, and you don't try and showcase them at all. When you're not showcasing, I can't do anything. Your stock's gonna fall, and I really hope that's not the case. But I've seen him like a top 10, top 11 guy. And I'm seeing him fall into like the top what 29s, 30s. But I really want to talk about Amin Thompson real quick because I was watching Rafael Barlow's analysis on him, and this is something I have to actually disagree. Rafael's top of the food chain in terms of draft talk. Everyone should follow, right? But he said Amin Thompson falling to 3 and has been in a potential mock draft to the Pistons wouldn't work. It would. I think it would. You know why? Because he's just as fluid as his brother on the wing. Yes, he can't shoot the 3 for right now. But what he can do, I said this in so many other podcasts the other day, and I was talking about Jaden Ivey and Cade. Imagine Asar Thompson's first step. You can't stop all 3 of those. Cade in the pick and roll, kick out. Jaden Ivey, 2 feet in the lane, easy. Amin Thompson, 2 feet in the lane, easy, with a Jokic type, a Luka type, wraparound fancy pass that hits someone in right on the money. That would work. So if he can get his shot, he's somebody that could be a top 3 lock because the difference between him and his brother is Asar is not really a playmaker. He doesn't even want to showcase he can make those passes because he's never practiced it. He's always been the wing and the lob finisher receiving it. But but now like a man, all he has to do is add that, and he's pretty much his brother because his brother's shooting 42% from 3 now. Please, exactly. J-Dub not only has a great question, but everyone's wondering where's the ranking with the Thompson twins in terms of everyone else. Cam Whitmore, like I said earlier in the space, top 3 lock, right? But a man can definitely push that needle. He can definitely do that. And here's the thing: the opportunities in the threes and OTE. Ben, you've been to the OTE facility. Great facility, great rims, great floor. No pressure. The fans in the stadium make it look like it's a actual game. You know, besides the amount of fans actually tuning in because there's not that many people tune in. Right now, you can say I'm in as a top 10 lock for sure, right? He's somebody that has star potential, right? Give him a shot, give him a shooting coach, give him 2 years, all-star level type of talent. Literally. Somebody that can be a 20-point per game threat, a 10 assist point per game threat, a steal and a half a game, maybe a block a game. These type of athletes don't grow on trees. Literally. His foot speed, his agility, his first step, gone. At the rim. Easy. So that's him.
So great points. We have a couple more questions from Kale. He says, I believe Brandon Miller can rise in that conversation with improving his finishing. Would totally agree with that. If he finishes more consistently at the rim, 100% that's a guy who rises in this draft. Perfect, succinct sentence on that. Absolutely. This was quite timely from Miles Lawrence. Thoughts on Trevon Brazil, first round prospect? That in the last couple of days, that became a little shadier just because of that injury is going to keep him out all season. That's really going to decide, I think, how he comes back from that injury. If he works out well and shows that he picks up from where he left off in the season, I think he can be okay. But that injury really puts a damper on what he was building on this year. He was playing really well. I was actually really excited to watch him again, but I will not get the chance to do that this season. Evan, any quick thoughts on Trevon Brazil?
Another comparison that is almost his play style, but more in lines of where he would rank in this year's draft and the importance of where he would be. In my opinion, he would be this year's Kendall Brown, the play finisher. That dunk a couple weeks ago, man, that was absolutely disgusting. Good lord, and that pretty much like solidified him not being one of the more fair and better athletes, but the connected piece that every team needs. If you can imagine somebody that is like the Tari Eason, Jeremy Sohan, I'm gonna be your point of attack defender. I'm gonna be the play finisher. I'm not gonna be super aggressive on offense because I'm not that guy, right? Not that guy. But I can be okay, dribble handoff and one. I can be the play finisher and one, getting an offensive rebound, hustling on the glass. Now, right now, you did say it a couple weeks, 30 minutes ago, that he would pretty much solidify them having a deep playoff run, a deep March Madness run. Now, right now, he's somebody that probably is going to come back around June fully healthy, more than likely, hopefully, if everything goes well. There's a lot of players that are going to start, I don't want to say sitting out, but going to quote unquote having a lot of injuries so they don't have to play these mid-major schools or even matchups that even favor or don't favor them. He's somebody that is going to be, like the term I used, the Lonzo line earlier. He's somebody that's going to be that first and second round fringe line. So if anyone is looking to get, I almost say like a project pick or somebody that's not going to be in the rotation, somebody like a Kenny Lofton, Jake LaRavia type of esque, somebody that could be in the rotation one day that could not be the next day. That's somebody you're looking at with Brazil. But I'm gonna call you John Cho. That's your name. You're not Mister. Yeah, because we got kids in the space, man. Well, what's going
I
on?
know, brother.
You
No, I
been,
just wanted to get a. I don't know if
you,
you talked about him earlier. So, what are we thinking now? Back in second year, Leonard Miller. What's going on? What's the thought process there?
oh
That's my guy.
man,
Last year, I had high hopes. I understood the drop off. He's at 16-10 about right now. I think the first step looks good. It looks like he's figuring it out. But I mean, it's a long process. Just kind of curious on what your thoughts were now.
Yeah, no. At the beginning of the space, before we had the technical difficulties, we were just talking about how there's so many just combo, positionless forward, just agile 6'10", 6'11" guys that can put the ball on the floor. But Brandon Miller, Gigi, no one has the ball handling ability like Leonard Miller. Neither of those guys do. Leonard Miller was a point guard first. Okay, he was a point guard first before anything. Now 6'11", a 3-level scorer, somebody that was getting dogged by Wemby. Yeah, everyone remembers that. Yeah, he made him like a little boy. Yeah, from day in and day out. Ever since then on, he's been kind of just floating around the second round. Just how last year, based on potential, he's going to be in the 20s. The reason why I was so high on Leonard Miller last year is not just because I knew we were going to probably move on from DeJounte, and who wouldn't rather have a 6'11" point guard with time to develop if we're going to get Dyson Daniels, right? Leonard Miller is somebody that is any team would want. The Toronto Raptors would be salivating after him. He'd go back home. He'd be the point forward that can push the ball in transition, the Lamar Odom type of player. And at the end of the day, he's not selfish. He's not ball dominant. He's looking to get his guys going. He's nowhere near the playmaker of Amin Thompson. He's nowhere near the playmaker of anyone in the top half of the class. But he has the potential to be one day. Now, the turnover issue is a galore. And I'm so glad he's not playing as a point guard, as a sole point guard with Scoot out there. Even Sadie's getting a lot of actual point guard minutes. He's the 6'8" shooting guard, wing, positionless power forward at times that really shouldn't be playing alongside Leonard Miller because they don't play well with each other. But at the end of the day, man, Leonard Miller is going to be, I don't want to say a certified stud, but in the Spurs system, that's exactly who you need. You need somebody that can create for himself at times, someone that can do the mellow zoom zip pass down the lane at the right moment, the touchdown Lonzo, Luka, Jokic passes top of the head, soccer over the head passes. You need that because at the end of the day, when someone gets double teamed, when the play breaks up, when you don't have any actual fluidity in terms of even your lineup, with the next man up, we've had Josh Richardson, we've had Malachi Branham backup point guard minutes. We needed a Leonard Miller. We needed him, and I wish he would have stayed. we got a couple other guys trying to request stuff. We'll get to you in a second. John, Show, you are really knowledgeable in terms of this draft, in terms of this class. I wanted to ask you, um, did you have any favorite for the Spurs outside the top two, and did you have anyone that you were just kind of maybe floating around, kind of being silent about, maybe that may not be a certified stud that you're really high on?
Um, Honestly, it's been sorry, I got these dogs barking and stuff. It's been a little difficult to kind of gauge right now, but I heard you kind of glance over Gigi. That's interesting. I don't know where he falls. I think he's closer to 15, but that's somebody that can kind of create his own shot at 6'10". Um, but I was actually going to ask you the same question. I was going to ask both of y'all the same question. Is there anybody that kind of stands out in that middle of the pack? Maybe they do something where they package a pick. They find themselves in the back end of the first. Is there somebody like that that kind of sticks out, or do you see more or less as a second round guy that could end up being a first round guy? I'm not sure if you went over that already.
Go ahead, Ben.
We did not go over that already. I love that question though. I it is tough. There's a guy I was high on before the season started was Arthur Kaluma, but his shooting has been rough. So I'm a little hesitant about him. But a guy like if Anthony Black does find his way to the back of the lottery, would be incredibly happy with that pick. Would also be incredibly happy with Cason Wallace if he somehow makes it that far down too. You're talking about guys who can come in and play backup point guard immediately. You can kind of move Anthony Black around, maybe have him play 2 or 3 a little bit too. But I think like a guy like Chris Murray might fall a little bit just because of his age, even though he's shooting really well. Arthur Kaluma, a guy who can fall a bit, but I'm totally with you on Gigi Jackson being a total enigma right now. I have no idea where that guy ends up. Um, like I would love a Jarris Walker or a Jare. I don't know if I pronounce his name right. It's either Jarris or Jarace, but Walker out of Houston. He intrigues me, but he just doesn't have enough offense to really make it worth the while. So that kind of terrifies me. But I think a guy like Filipowski might be all right at the back end of the lottery. I don't know if that's a reach. I mean, I think right now it's a fine pick. I mean, depending on how he plays the rest of the season, of course, could end up being a bit of a reach. But I think it's a solid. That would be a solid pick right now.
I have a name that a lot of people don't even really have on their boards, just because he's been injured lately. But it got a brand new name for a lot of people in terms of just what I've seen on the lack of attention on the timeline. This guy's name is Ryan Rupert. Ryan Rupert. Looks like Rupert, but Rupert. Okay, he's from France. He's playing overseas in Australia. Now, started the year off not too hot, then he got injured. Now he's back and getting in the swing of things. He may very well be the best 3-and-D player in this draft in terms of actually a 3-and-D, like a knockdown Nikola Jovic 3-and-D type of guy. When I say Nikola Jovic, like Nikola Jovic on the offense end. And on the defense end, I want you to imagine, I'm not saying anyone on the lines of OG Anunoby. I'm not saying anyone on the lines of Jeremy Sohan, but he's basically going to be the certified stamp of a 3-and-D guy. Now, he's falling around the 20s, 25s, but you can base off, last year's class compared to this year's class of who's going to be a certified stud, who wants to be on who's on what team. Like the Dalen Terrys, the Jalen Williams, the J-Dub for the wing that is. We don't know if they're going to be around the 12 to 18. And surprise, surprise, Josh Giddey is top 6. That type of stuff, that type of movement, you can see from someone like him. And I know that sounds crazy because, who is this guy, right? Ryan Rupert. I know, it sounds wild, but keep him on your radar. Second half of the season, he's going to be, I don't want to say a certified stud, but he's going to be somebody that's going to be probably one of the best prospects in the second round if he falls that far, for sure.
Boom, decided. Evan dropping names, dropping bombs. I think we're getting close to the end here, folks. I mean, we'll take anybody who's got questions. Happy to do that. If no more questions, we'll head on our way. We'll be back next week, and we're gonna really get into some more draft talk. Come with your questions. DM me, DM Evan.
and we'll answer any and all questions. We're happy to do so. So until then, we will see you all next time. Have a lovely weekend. Hopefully the Spurs win tonight. Fingers crossed. May the basketball gods be ever in your favor.
Wait, you said Spurs win?
Well, yeah, it'd be nice to see him win every now and then.
Uh,
Give a little bit of reassurance.
we are playing the second worst team in the league. We better lose. We better lose.
All right, fine. Lose
I
because
don't. I don't.
Houston win the next game, I guess.
I don't give a damn. Y'all can cancel me. Y'all can say, "Oh, I'm not a team player. I want to lose. I want to win B. I want to win B. Come on now. We better lose."
Oh,
Sorry, man.
one day we'll get you there.
I'm sorry.
All good. We appreciate everybody coming out, listening. This is a recorded space, so it will be available for listening later. And we'll see you guys next week. Peace.